For people in the workforce today, reskilling boils down to doing more work just to keep up. To Andrew Yang, a former job creation specialist and now long-shot presidential candidate, the spotlight on reskilling hides a larger imbalance between the goals of workers and the goals of their employers.
We are so brainwashed by the market that otherwise intelligent, well-meaning people will legitimately say we should retrain the coal miners to be coders.
Yep.
We are trained to think that we have no value unless the market says that there's a need for what we do. And so if coal miners now have zero value, then the thought process is, oh, we have to turn them into something that does have value. What has value? Coders. And then 12 years from now, AI is going to be able to do basic coding anyway.
Sure.
So this is a race we will not win. The goalposts are going to move the whole time on us.
What are the solutions? Like, what are you proposing?
We start issuing a dividend to all American adults starting at age 18, where everyone gets $1,000 a month.
So basically a universal basic income.
Yes, we rebranded the freedom dividend because it tests much better with conservatives with the word freedom in it.
And it's not a basic income, it's a dividend, which is to say, like, the economy is at a surplus, so everyone deserves a piece of the pie.
Yeah, no, all of us are owners and shareholders of the richest society in the history of the world that can easily afford a dividend of $1,000 per adult. People need meaning, structure, purpose, fulfillment. And that is the generational challenge that faces us. It's not like the freedom dividend, giving everyone $1,000 a month, solves that challenge.
No.
It does not. But what it does is it
buys us time.
It buys us time and also channels resources into the pursuit of meeting that challenge. You know, it ends up supercharging our ability to address what we should be doing.
Universal basic income, once a marginal political fantasy, has been embraced by more than a few rabid capitalists in recent years.
We should explore ideas like universal basic income to make sure that everyone has a cushion to try new ideas.
It's free money for everybody.
Enough to pay for your basic needs: food, shelter, education.
I don't think we're going to have a choice.
It will come about one day, and I think...
Out of necessity.
Out of necessity, and I think that, you know, cities should experiment.
Michael Moynihan went to one city that already is.
Mayor? Good morning. Michael Moynihan, how are you? Thanks for doing this.
Stockton's mayor won election at just 26 years old, taking office 5 years after the city declared bankruptcy.
So you grew up here?
Born and raised.
Born and raised.
This is home.
And you left for a brief period to go to Stanford, right?
Left for 4 years, I came right back.
With funding from Silicon Valley, he's launched a pilot program that's giving 125 residents $500 a month for 18 months.
Why do Silicon Valley guys like this so much?
Can't speak for all of them, but I think a lot of them see how detrimental it would be to society if there's mass number of people who are automated without any way to make a means for themselves, without any way to provide for themselves.
I mean, is it people in tech kind of paying indulgences and saying, hey, we're kind of screwing this up, we feel bad about it, here's some money?
I know some people are talking about robot taxes and things of that sort, and I make very much agreement with that they have a responsibility to society.
It's voluntary now, but it might be at the point of a gun later.
Yeah, voluntary to start and pilot, but absolutely, I think to scale it, it's not going to be about generosity. It's going to be a matter of policy.
The criticism that most people get for UBI-type experiments is that, all right, you're just giving people money and a handout, et cetera. That's a start, but what's the long-term goal for jobs in Stockton?
The hypothesis we're working on is that folks have their basic needs met, and then create the workforce of the future, primarily starting with the kids in our schools now, but also with adults, and giving them opportunities for retraining, reskilling, but also supporting people in their entrepreneurial pursuits. Folks with a lot of potential, but historically folks who haven't been seen as important enough for investment or important enough for government to really partner with. So that's what makes me really excited about the work we're doing in Stockton. So yeah, this is the downtown marina. Watch your step.
There's basically nothing here when you were a kid, when you were like 5, 6 years old.
Funny, I never really came out here until I came back for city council.
Yeah.
This wasn't part of my Stockton, but I think for me, this spot's so important because it represents real potential. There's not many cities that have this.
Yeah.
When we talk about the future of work, we're talking about how do we ensure that those left behind today aren't further left behind tomorrow? And that's my biggest fear. The folks who are making it least now are the most likely to be automated out of jobs and making anything. So for me, a basic income isn't even about the future of work. It's about getting our foundation set in the present so that when the future of work happens, we have a firm foundation on which we could pivot and figure out what we can do with and for people.
What's attractive about UBI is its simplicity. But that's also what makes it vulnerable to critique.
I don't think these utopian ideas of universal basic income, every robots do all the production and then everybody stays at home with a decent income and plays video games. I think that's a very dystopic future and it won't work, and I think it will lead to a huge amount of discontent. We really have no option but create jobs for the future.
Politicians have to start engaging these issues to figure out what's politically feasible. It's going to trigger fundamental debates about things like a universal basic income that everybody ought to get money, and the question is, okay, well, where's that money going to come from?
According to a progressive think tank's analysis, a UBI program giving every American $10,000 a year would cost the government more than $3 trillion annually. The entire 2018 federal budget was just over $4 trillion. Universal basic income isn't the only policy being floated to shore up the workforce's shaky financial foundation. Whether it's using federal funds to guarantee jobs for anyone who wants one, giving tax breaks to companies to create more jobs, or strong-arming companies to keep their factories open. What all these policies and strategies tell us is that the broad consensus is that right now, things aren't working.
We've designed a system where, as the technology creates more wealth, some people, bizarrely, are made worse off. We have to update and reinvent our system so that this explosion of wealth and productivity benefits not just the few, but the many.
This challenge of new technologies is not taking place in a vacuum. This country is already divided. It's divided geographically, it's divided culturally, politically. We've got to be prepared for the fact that it could actually take the social differences we already have and make it worse. There's got to be a sense of urgency here.
A higher level of disconnection, alienation, more declines in social capital, more groups of people left behind, more geographic areas left behind. This is not a recipe for a stable, prosperous, happy society. My worry is not that the robots will take all the jobs. My worry is that more people will be left behind and will feel left behind by what's going on.
If we continue in the way we've run our economy for the last 40 years, it will be disastrous.
So when we talk about the future of work, we're kind of talking about the future of the whole system.
That's right. I mean, you cannot have a prosperous economy without prosperous workers.
Voltaire said that work saves us from three great evils: boredom, vice, and need.
So much of our identities are tied up with our jobs. People ask you how you're doing, who you are, what you do, and it's central to our sense of self. If we have millions or tens of millions of chronically long-term unemployed, what's going to become of those people? It's not simply a question of how are they going to support themselves. What are they going to do?
SCR outlet duct sensor drift.
1 box.
Conversion efficiency.
Yep. 1 box gone.
You know, someone might say, robots are coming, might as well hang up the keys now. Does that go through your head?
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
What's gonna happen?
I mean, with these vehicles driving by themselves. Change is good, some change ain't good. You know, I mean, that's gonna be a lot of people out of work, and...
What do you think they're gonna do?
It's gonna be a crash. I mean, I think there'd be a lot of outrage, riots, more or less. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because they're gonna fight to try to keep their job. I mean, would I do it? Yeah, I would do it. It's gonna be a chain reaction. In reality, you gotta look at the economy. What is it gonna do to the economy? What is it gonna do to the American people? To the end, not just the industry, I mean, to the world. I mean, what's gonna happen? You got the whole world pissed off. But me, I want to die in the truck.
Really?
I'm going to die in the truck, brother. I've told all my friends, I've told my family, that's when I retire, is when I die in a truck.
Yeah.
I mean, been doing it for too long. It's in the blood.